So, Ulysses of Iriu had, and by the way, if I'm mispronouncing it, if you're watching, please tell me. Anyway, if you don't agree with the online safety bill, you're obviously on the same side as Jimmy Savile, and I'll leave you a link to this. I mean, I've made the comment that think tanks have been busy, I see, and why I see that is, and I've dropped a hint. I don't know how many times over the years. You have to look at the connection between propaganda and advertising. I keep recommending books like David Ogilvy's Confessions of an Advertising Man. He's not talking about any conspiracy theory. He's literally giving you some insight into the mindset of those who are involved to create a successful career in advertising. But when you look into, for example, David Ogilvy's background, it's very interesting. And of course, I think his nephew was Ian Ogilvy, and another ex-Vetesian, blah, 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 all the rest of it. But an interesting guy. And, people don't make this connection of the intellects involved in creating a solution to whoever they're paid by to create an outcome. And in advertising, you tout your wares as opposed to other people in advertising, that you can, target your source audience, your customer base, through things like emotion. I mean, when you look historically, it's some of the most successful advertising campaigns. It's been about the psychology of, humanity generally, and how successful you can be with the use of words, imagery, etc., blah, blah, blah. It's very similar to propaganda. Honestly, there's no two doubts about it. I mean, you could mention the obvious ones. In fact, I would have said blatantly obvious ones like, let me think, Edward Bernays, nephew of Sigmund Freud, and his, 1928 book, Propaganda. But when you look at other aspects over decades of, the history of advertising and the research and the efforts and, the sciences involved through psychology and, basically the science of the study of humanity and how they tick. Now, I seem to remember, was it Richard Curtis, who had made some efforts in relation to, what was it one thing he did? What was it called? The Century of the Self. And that in itself was educational. But the point I'm making, long-winded although it may be, is there is an awful lot of time and effort, money and funding for the research of the very people that you are promoting some kind of message to, whether it be the goal being that your clients' companies are more successful, or that governments bend the people to their will, whatever their ideology is. And here we are at 4 minutes. But was it this? I'll leave you a link to this. Honestly, this is very interesting. Let me find the Sky News, I think it was, clip. The clip that I'd successfully found like 10 minutes ago is now no longer. Oh, here we are. Right, under fair use, let me grab a speaker. I'm assuming the reason why the resolution is so low is that it can still remain online. But under fair use, let me play you the following.
We have people out there who are extreme pornographers, peddling hate, peddling violence. Nigel Farage is on their side. Make no mistake about it.
Think about this. What an accusation. Look, they're all bought and paid for. I would say they're all involved in lodges. And it's astounding. You know, the public forget about everything the Conservatives have done, and now the main focus is on, you know, whoever's perceived to be in, you know, government. Although they seem to ignore completely the civil service. And be assured, if the Conservatives were in government, they would have some conservative version of the guy that you see before you, you know. But let's continue.
If people like Jimmy Savile were alive today, he'll be perpetrating his crimes online. And Nigel Farage is saying that he's on their side.
I'm sorry.
Not the side of...
I mean, even Sky News is like, wait, what? Wait, what? I mean, we've been promoting agendas galore, but you've just said what?
Children who are...
I'm going to ask you to clarify. Do you honestly think to say Nigel Farage is on Jimmy Savile's side?
When it comes to online activity, we have seen unfettered access of adults to children via social media. When we put in the age verification, it stops.
Did that stop, by the way, these Pakistani grooming gangs or anything like that? Absolutely not. None of it. Yeah, but hey, all of a sudden we have the solution.
Strange adults getting in touch with children. So make no mistake.
This is a major leap.
Honestly, I mean, do they all have handlers? I wonder. I honestly do. And the reason I see that is, well, something like this. China introduces digital ID for internet users. The system will strengthen state control over online activity and could end anonymity for good. Well, what are you literally seeing happening in real time just now? Seriously, yeah? But the message through those involved in advertising and propaganda is think of the children. And ultimately, it's nothing to do with the children. It's absolutely about state control suppressing any opposition to what they're doing. That's absolutely it. Historically, I look, right through the last few hundred years especially, the common denominator is a funny handshake and obligation. Seriously. And if you don't think China is as masonically bought and paid for as anywhere else, seriously, you're naive. And I'll speak to you soon.